Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. This is your host, Linda Joy, publisher of Aspire Magazine, the premier inspirational magazine for women, celebrating 10 years this year. I'm so excited. I'm also the 6-time best-selling publisher behind the boutique publishing company, InspiredLivingPublishing.com, which is dedicated to giving visionary female entrepreneurs, coaches, and health practitioners a voice and a high-profile media and publishing platform to share their wisdom, enhance their expert status, and bring their brand out of the shadows and into the light as a published author. All of my brands, including this show, are dedicated to one thing, and that's to inspiring women to live their best lives. So welcome to Inspired Conversations. You know, have you been spinning your wheels and feeling stuck, trying to find your life purpose? I know I've been there. Or maybe you know what your life purpose is, deep down in that, that quiet place within your heart, but you're afraid to jump in with both feet and take action. Fear is one of the greatest sources of struggle, suffering, and stress. And today I'll be talking with my dear friend, Patricia Young, on the topics of fear, living your purpose, and some of the signs that fear may be getting in the way of you living your unique path. And as you'll hear in today's Inspired Conversation, Patricia has walked the walk, and she left her career in corporate America to follow her life's mission, and now successfully empowers others who are called to do the same. Patricia is a purpose, business, and money coach and the president and founder of Inner Prosperity Academy. After 20 years of working for the corporate world, she decided to follow her calling to support sensitive, spiritual, and growth-oriented women and a couple, pretty special guys to start or grow a heart-centered business that they love so that they can go from working for a paycheck to working for a mission. Patricia loves supporting clients and finally living on purpose, getting paid for who they came here to be, and creating the meaningful, joyful, and prosperous lives that we all long for, while, and this is the part that always gives me soul giggles, while serving others through the mission-driven business. She's an international best-selling author and a frequent contributor to Aspire Magazine. She lives in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and serves clients all around the world through her transformational, individualized coaching, her online coaching programs, VIP days, presentations, and transformational workshops. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to Inspired Conversations.
Oh, hi, Linda. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be on your show.
Well, I am so excited because I believe your story is the story of so many women. And today we're going to be talking about, how to break through fears and what some of the signs of fear are. But what the show's about is women like you, women who really walk the walk, right? You are doing the work you're doing in the world because you went through it yourself. So take us back briefly to that time when you were in corporate America where you knew you were meant to do something different.
Yeah, so, I won't make it long, but I knew when I was in corporate that I was not meant to be there. I knew since I was a kid that I wanted to help people. I didn't know how or what I would be doing, but I knew I wanted to help people. So being in corporate was very out of alignment with what I came here to be, actually. So I started getting some signals that really I needed to do something about it because it was getting worse and worse. And I'm talking about panic attacks. While I was working sometimes, I was getting panic attacks, maybe while I was having a conversation with my boss or a coworker. And I had to excuse myself and really go out and breathe because I felt I couldn't even breathe. So I really started thinking deeper that I really needed to do something about it, because I couldn't really think about myself for being there for another maybe 15 to 20 years until I got, I retired. But I had already started my path, my spiritual path, my growth, personal growth path many years ago when I started doing meditation, and I did Reiki. I'm a master in Reiki. I did massage therapy. So I was already in that path, but I didn't know, I guess I didn't believe that I could make a living, having my own business, doing what I loved. So that's why I always went back to corporate jobs, because that's what I knew, right? And that was the fastest way for me to really have a steady income, and that was actually also in my comfort zone, right? Because that's what I knew since I was pretty much a kid, so young. So that's when, and then at the same time, as I started getting these panic attacks and I started really rethinking everything and, knowing that I had to do something to change my life, I had two friends that passed away to cancer, very young, both of them. And so with all my personal struggle, knowing that I was meant to do something else, not knowing where to start, being so scared to make, drastic changes in life, and then my friends passed away, for me that was like the biggest catalyst that led me to really make a decision I was facing reality, basically, knowing that life is short and we only have today to do the things that we love, and because we don't know if we have tomorrow. Right?
So true. It is so true. And I think you must have looked at that experience of losing your friends and also looked at your own body saying, whoa, my body's giving me signs here that illness is manifesting in my body because I'm not honoring my truth. So after the passing of your friends, was it a sudden change? Did you just wake up one day and say, that's it, I have to transition out? Or was it an inner knowing that you were going, the shift was coming, and then you took baby steps? So how did that happen for you? Instant or baby steps?
Well, there was an inner knowing that was huge, knowing that I needed to do something. And then I started taking, baby steps on, okay, so I know I have to do something about it, but I don't even know where to start or what is it that I'm going to be doing, but I need to start exploring. So I started, looking online and across coaching, and I went like, oh my God, I love the concept of coaching. And when I was a kid, before I started, college, that I wanted to do either psychology or journalism. And I said, well, I couldn't do psychology, but maybe coaching could be, similar to it in a way. So maybe I could do that. And at the same time, I found a mentor that really spoke to me, that I really resonated with her. And that's when, of course I needed help. I couldn't do it by myself. So that's why I hired her. And with her support, also, I got the clarity that I needed. And then I started taking aligned action and inspired actions towards what I wanted to create. So I didn't quit my job from one day to the other. And then I said, I'll figure it out now. No, you have to plan your transition. You have to do it slowly, because then you don't want to add more stress and more aggravation to what you already have, trying to figure out what is it that you want to do.
And I love that you said that, because that's how it was for me. Like, I'm looking back on my path. It was, I would feel the shift internally first, like, oh, I am so done with this. That knowing empowered me to start looking for avenues to a different path, right? So a few moments ago you said at first you didn't have the courage to take that step because it was a comfort zone for you. Corporate America was your comfort zone. And I think we all have comfort zones, whatever it may be, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so to hear you say, you really use the same words of what I felt inside, is the shift came internally first. And then I know for me, after I got that shift, I started feeling passionate about things again, because I felt like I know I'm going somewhere different from where I am. I might not see where it is, but man, I am excited. Did you feel that?
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, that happened. And also what happened, which is a clear sign that I was in the right path, is that once I made my decision, right, that I was going to take action and do something about it, and I hired my coach, and I started really doing everything that I needed to do to get clarity and start my business and everything. Even though I was still working for corporate, those panic attacks went away. So for me, that's a clear sign that my spirit or my authentic self was saying, now we're talking. You got me now. Okay, so I'll leave you alone.
Yeah, because you started leading with your heart and living with your heart and following those soul whispers instead of staying stuck in the fear. And we're going to be talking about that more when we come back from our break. And we'll be back in a moment with Patricia Young of Inner Prosperity Academy. And we're going to be talking about why you feel fear when you try to make changes in your life, even if those changes are positive, like Patricia just shared. So we're going to dive into that a little deeper when we come back from commercial break.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Inspiration for a Woman's Soul. Aspire Magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery. Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration partners. Claim your Aspire Magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back to Inspired Conversations. This is your host, Linda Joy, and I am here with Patricia Young of InnerProsperityAcademy.com, and we were talking about fear and having the courage to follow the calling in your soul. And sometimes that leads to fear, which we all have a close relationship with. And Patricia, you mentioned in our conversations, and I know in the work that you do, that fear can come up, and I think this surprises people, even if the change that's in our life is positive. So let's talk about that, because I think people think fear only comes up when it's a negative circumstance, and I know that not to be true also.
Right, yeah, and it is true. I mean, it shows up even when you want to make positive changes in your life. And a positive change could be, you're getting married, right? You're moving to another country, you're moving to another city, you're being promoted at work. Everything that is new and out of our comfort zone that creates uncertainty, it's going to trigger fear, even in positive things, right? So I always say that we all have this creative energy that's moving through us at all times, and we are in a constant state of growth and up-leveling, right? That's part of being human. So we really have two options, right? This creative energy could get diverted into our conditioned patterns, or it could get focused on manifesting our dreams and living a bigger life, right? And so, when I work with my clients, in order for them to manifest the life they want to live, we work and focus on these because we don't only want to address the stuck patterns, right? Maybe there's some anxiety or depression or relationship issues or work-related issues, but we also focus on what their dreams are and what their passions are, what their life purpose is, basically, because unless we have a positive outlet for this creative energy that's moving through us, it is going to actually feed those stuck patterns that are actually ways of coping and not taking action, which will take much longer to get beyond them, right? And sometimes people can get stuck for years trying to heal a negative pattern because there's no positive outlet for that energy that is, it really stays stuck. So why there's so much fear when you try to make positive changes? And years ago, I learned from one of my mentors the idea of what is called the terror barrier, right? Meaning that the current paradigm or dynamic from where you operate in your daily life, if you can just imagine it as a square, and then everything that you know to be true in your world is within that box. And what we know about consciousness and life is that we're always evolving and expanding, right? But we tend to we tend to be limited by our conditioned thoughts and patterns. So we tend to live within the limits of this paradigm or this box. And when we begin to get clear on new things that we want to do or our dreams or our life purpose, and we begin to move closer to the edges of this square, of this box, because typically our visions and our dreams are outside of this box, right? So when you identify your dream and you want to move out, to the outer edges of the box, something gets activated, which is your ego mind, basically. And that's called a terror barrier. And this is the part of you that's giving you a red alert, right? Because you're doing something that you're not familiar with. It's moving you to something that is unknown. And then you take it as a sign that you need to stop. But that's really your ego mind. And the ego mind's job is to really stop you.
And we all come against that. I know I have. We come against it. We go, okay, this must be a warning that I'm going in the wrong direction. In reality, it's not a warning that you're going in the wrong direction. I love that word because I can visually see a barrier around that box. It's the ego trying to keep us safe and small, which is its job.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how do you move through? Right. How do you get to the over or through the terror barrier?
So it's basically understanding that this is normal, right? That this is part of the process. That really those things that happen as you go through the terror barrier are really those fears that have denser energies that are being released from your body, so you can up level to the higher vibration that is more in alignment with the dream that you're moving towards. So it's basically knowing that fear is a normal part of the process of growing, right, and taking a leap. It's not a signal to stop. And basically, the bigger the leap, the bigger the fear, right? And the more you do it, the more you practice, and the more you get used to it, to that discomfort, the process gets easier, and then you'll have less fear next time. You'll know it's part of the process. And basically, you cannot avoid it. We're all wired. Human beings, we're wired like that. There's no way you can avoid that. And
I know for me that every time I would take those baby steps through my fear, it was like I felt like I was building my trust and courage muscles, so that now when I receive what I call a divine download, or a message to take the next inspired step, because I've taken so many steps towards my dreams, I don't hesitate as much anymore because I have the trust now in myself and in my intuition. Do you notice that on your own path or with your clients, that the more they kept breaking through the fear barriers, that trust muscle got built up, and now they can make those decisions a lot quicker because they see it for what it is?
Yeah. And something that I always tell my clients, and I do that myself too, is like, I know that I have to give more energy, vision, and my desires than my fears. Because the more attention and time that we pay to our fear, the bigger it gets. So we really need to starve our fears by taking action, even if it's a baby step, and not paying attention to the fear, knowing that the fear is going to be there regardless, right? And always looking at the big picture, at the final result that you want, and really staying focused on your big why. What's the reason why you're doing this? because these reasons will be your motivation and your driving force.
And, there's something, too, that you and I have covered in the past, and I think you actually wrote about it in Aspire, or it was in one of your other amazing, how much I love your writing. And you talked about using fear like a superpower. And when I read that, right, so you said use it like a superpower and to feel courage in your life. And I remember reading that going, wow, what a beautiful way of shifting the energy. So what do you mean by using it as a superpower? And how do we do that?
Yeah, I love that, because that actually helped me personally to really say, okay, so fear is going to be there regardless. It doesn't matter what stage, I am at, because every time you grow, the next layer that you grow, there's going to, and expand, there's going to be another layer of fear, right? So fear is always going to be there. So how can I use fear into my advantage? Like, how can I use fear as a superpower, right? To really use it to courage. So what I always say is like fear is a doorway to something richer in our lives. It really invites expansion if you think about it, right? So fear is gonna launch you forward. So you have to start seeing it as a friend that's trying to guide you to your freedom. And like I said before, fear is always there. It's in different levels, right? So, but the key here is how you relate to fear, how you choose to perceive fear. That makes a big difference in your life, right? So I had a mentor that told me once, those who choose to believe that the presence of fear represents proof of a flawed or weak character risk their dreams dying inside them. And that really stuck with me in such a big way that I think this is when I actually, realized, oh my God, so fear can be my superpower in a way, right? Because I don't want my dreams, I don't want to stay stuck, and I don't want my dreams to die inside of me.
No, I don't think any of us want that, but I love how you just described shifting how we look at it, because we automatically, when we hear the word fear, or especially when we feel it, we have a tendency to constrict. And you're saying when you feel it, don't constrict. Embrace it,
right.
Walk through it, talk to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how you use it as a superpower, by embracing it instead of running from it.
Yeah, it's more like you have to become friends with fear, right? Because, and to be honest with you, I have to thank fear for so much in my life, because without it, I honestly wouldn't be here talking to you. Most likely, I would still be living my life on autopilot, going through the motions, feeling unfulfilled, right?
Yeah.
So fear always shines a light of awareness on what needs to be healed.
Do you notice too, and I'm curious, is, and I can only speak from personal experience, I know that when especially let's talk about entrepreneurs, because many women listen to the show, or we're all heart-centered, mission-driven entrepreneurs. I know that when I'm stretching myself to the next level in my business or anything, I know definitely that I'm on the right track when fear rears its ugly head, because it's, again, I'm pushing the boundaries of that box because I want to grow to the next level. So I look at it, I look at it now that, oh, okay, I'm coming out of my comfort zone again. To me, that's a good thing. So I don't look at it as fearful anymore. I go, oh, hello, fear. Okay, so I'm going to the next level now, in whatever it may be, whatever the issue is that fear is coming. So thank you for explaining it in those words, because it's really, I love the use of the term superpower.
Thank you.
So why do you know what, before we jump into this, because in a moment I want to talk about why it's vital to find and live your purpose now more than ever, especially for heart-centered, mission-driven women. I think where a lot of us are being really called to step into our truth, step into our soul's purpose, so that we can serve with our unique brilliance. And we're going to be talking about that more in a moment when we come back from our break. And we'll be chatting with Patricia Young of InnerProsperityAcademy.com.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
We can all use a little more peace and joy in our lives. Don't you agree? Counselor, best-selling author, and self-nurturing expert Kelly Grimes of CultivatingPeaceAndJoy.com is passionate about empowering overwhelmed and exhausted women to live with more peace, joy, and meaning through the practice of self-nurturing. Through her experience working with individuals, speaking, providing workshops, and teaching professional and leadership development to forward-thinking organizations, Kelly knows that nurturing peace in the world begins from the inside out. That's why she created the free Cultivating Peace and Joy mobile app that brings you beautiful self-nurturing reminders, guided meditations, empowering practice tools, and daily prompts with an inspiring question to guide your daily self-nurturing practice. Download your free Cultivating Peace and Joy mobile app today at cultivatingpeaceandjoy.com.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Welcome back to Inspired Conversations. This is Linda Joy, and I'm enjoying a conversation with Patricia Young. And we were talking about, before the break, using fear like a superpower to fuel your courage in life. And I just loved that analogy of looking at fear that way. And Patricia, I mean, one of your biggest things that you speak and write about is about living your purpose and doing it now. So why do you feel it's so vital to find and live your purpose now more than ever?
I truly believe that we are going through a transformational time on the planet where I don't know if you have noticed, but there's more and more people looking to do work that, make them feel alive, that they want to share their talents. There's like a hunger, a longing inside to do meaningful work. And I think we're being pushed spiritually to do this. So we were talking before, the easy thing, the comfort zone thing is to get a job, right? Because you get your steady check, and that's how, I was there, and so many people are there. But a feeling that you don't belong in a job is very common, right? You might even be successful at it and make a good living every month, and you're providing for your family, and you buy nice things, but you have a little voice inside of you. That you want to do something else. That you're meant to be doing something else. And then another voice is asking you, who do you think you are for wanting more? You should be grateful and happy with what you have. And that's what I was feeling as well. So I was beating myself up because I had this longing and I should have been grateful. So it's not a very productive cycle. But the end result is that if we don't do something about it, you will continue to feel stuck. And you will continue to hold yourself back from your dreams. And if you think about it, it's like if your internal radar is off, right? Because you're looking for answers outside of you. You've been disconnected from your center, from your true self. And something very important too is that I've seen it more and more, and even with some clients, is that there's an epidemic of, an epidemic use of antidepressants and medication for anxiety. And I'm not saying here that at some point some people might need the medication. I'm not saying stop your medication or don't take medication, but I think that when you are repressing who you really are, when you're not living your true purpose, you're going to feel hopeless. You're going to feel depressed, because it's like you're putting a lid to who you really are. So you're going to get those symptoms.
I know that feeling of, and I think we all do, at one point in our life, whether it was as a teen, in our 20s or 30s, where we try to become who we're not so we can fit into what others expect of us. And so, using that as an example, I think we've all at one time or another experienced what it feels like to not live authentically. And, I also want to say, we're not, many people walk away from their corporate jobs because it's not their mission and they become entrepreneurs. For some people, that corporate job could be their mission, right? So, and being a grocery store clerk could be your mission, because it's about how you show up and be authentic. And I want to clarify that, because there's so many ways of living your mission. In our world, because Patricia's in the same world as I am, personal spiritual development, and we're all heart-centered, mission-driven entrepreneurs, it just happens that we have a deep desire to use our business as our service to the world. And I know I can speak for you, like you're living your truth, and you have a deep desire to be of service and use all your life lessons plus your expertise to be of service so others can do the same. And that is what it means to live authentically, right? It's about showing up in a way that fulfills you. And it's so funny, because way before I was on this path, I think it was like 1992 or so, I had been in a corporate job for 3 years, and I remember the moment, Patricia, that I was sitting in a cubby. I should have been grateful for that job because I had just gotten off welfare, and I was sitting in a cubby, those little half-wall things, looking around, and I received suddenly, like, oh my God, this is it. This is my life. I'm going to be stuck behind this little cubby thing. And I was looking at other people who were miserable, women, right? My mentors at the company, who were miserable. And in that one moment, I can still remember what the typewriter looked like, the cubby. I knew, oh my God, I can't do this. My soul is dying. Didn't even know what those words meant, Patricia, because I wasn't on this path. That's how deep my knowing was, that I could not stay there and fit into, just because it was expected of me by family and society. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, and that was before I had the knowledge and the personal and got on the personal development path. It was a whoa, holy shit, I don't belong here. On a soul level, I don't belong here.
Right.
And then I had to spend another year trying to deciphering what that meant for me.
Yeah, but you took the time, you had the willingness to really explore, and here you are, right?
Yeah, but it's exactly what you said at the beginning of the call. I didn't wake up one day at any point in my life and say, okay, this is it. I kept going, where am I being led? What's the next small step I can take? And every small step led me to where I am today. And I got to say something. When you take those baby steps, and I'm going to get emotional, when you take those baby steps in trust and follow those whispers that Patricia is talking about, the path becomes something greater than you could have ever envisioned for yourself. And that is what I want. That's the purpose of this Inspired Conversations radio show and all my brands is it's about believing in the power of possibility and trusting. And that's what we're talking about here today with Patricia Young of Inner Prosperity Academy. We're talking about walking through your fear, living your purpose, having the courage to go after your dreams, even if it means going through the discomfort of, pushing the walls of that box that you're in down. So we were talking about fear earlier. So what are some of the clues, I'm talking about life purpose. So what are the clues that will lead us to to clarity about our life purpose, right? So you believe that we're always receiving clues. We just have to start looking for them.
Yeah, exactly. And confusion is fear, basically, right? It means that we're disconnected from our authentic self, right? Because we haven't really been taught to connect at a deep level with who we really are. So it's normal that we feel confusion. It's normal that we feel fear, right? So one of the things that I always tell my clients is to begin to connect with their authentic self and connect with their passions, right? Because when I've seen clients where, they tell me, but I don't even know what I'm passionate about. I mean, I cannot think of anything. That really gives me a clue of how big is the disconnection from their authentic self, from their true self. So one of the first things that I have to do so they can connect with their authentic self is to start connecting with their passions. Because one of the things that your authentic self is that it's filled with passion, right? You just have to look at kids, right? They're just so full of passion and joy, right? They're so passionate about learning new things and playing. They're curious and spontaneous. But what happens is that, as we grow older, our parents usually, tell us, don't be so loud. Don't be so dreamy. That's never going to work. What are you thinking about? So that part starts shutting down in a way. And that's how we get disconnected from our passion and from an authentic self. So if you don't know what you're passionate about, I want you to connect with the energy of passion in your life. So begin to write down a list of things that bring feelings of passion in your life. Simple things, for example, would be like watching a sunset or watching a sunrise, listening to some type of music that you like, or traveling, or being in contact with nature, or going to art shows, whatever comes to your mind. So what you need to do once you have your list is you need to schedule every day, do something that's on your list, right? And just pick at least one thing, and do one thing every day. Because what happens is that once you begin to connect to the energy of passion, it'll be easier for you to really reconnect with your life purpose. Because believe me, your life purpose is already in you. It's in your core being, but you're disconnected from it. So the whole exercise about doing the passion list that's going to open up the channel for you to connect with your life purpose, because your passion and your life purpose are connected.
I like that. It's a treasure hunt. Like you're going on a treasure hunt. And to me it sounds like the passion list could also be called, am I correct, a joy list. Like find things that light you up, that fill you up. That's one of my favorite words, as you can imagine. And it's starting there. Because when we tap into joy, we're on that, vibrational level to attract more to us. And I think it also allows us to start releasing the layers of old stories that have caused the disconnection in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And one more thing that I wanted to mention, that this is so important, and this really made a big difference in my personal life when I started all these exploration process, is to really be open, loving, and gentle with your dreaming self. Because what ends up stopping many people from getting clear about their life purpose is that they rule out things so quickly, right? So see if you say phrases like this to yourself, like, oh, that could never work. Oh, I could never do that. Oh, that would just never happen, right? So just think, or that's a stupid idea, right? So think of it as a friend that every time you share your ideas with them, they shut it down and they say that will never work. So every time you share your ideas with them, you feel like they're shutting you down. So at the end, what happens? You stop sharing with them, right? And that's what happens with your dreaming self. So you have to start cultivating and nurturing that relationship with yourself.
So it's almost like when you catch yourself saying the negative self-talk, which is the old script, do you counter it with something positive?
What I started doing at the beginning is, imagine that I'm saying to my dreaming self, I am so sorry that I've been shutting you down, but now I'm ready to really listen to all your ideas. And I'm open to hear each and every one of them.
Ooh, I like that. I like that because then it's spacious. It's not restrictive. It creates spaciousness, and it's almost like doing inner child work, where you're talking to the inner child, and that's what it just reminded me of. And I'm so visual that when someone shares something that hits me immediately, I always see a visual of it, and that's what came to mind, is the inner child. It's the same thing as you speak into your dreaming state.
Yeah.
So when we come back from our final break, I want to talk about some of the results that happen in either in your life, your client's life, when you take the courage, when you have the courage of taking the leap and aligning with your passion and purpose. Because just you and I, as well as many guests have been on this show, we all can share from experience of I call it miracles. Sometimes divine synchronicities, sacred relationships, and miracles come to show you you're on the right path, but the universe needs you to take the inspired action to get on the path, towards living your dream. So we'll be back in a moment with Patricia Young of InnerProsperityAcademy.com.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
What if you could live the life of your dreams, the life that you came here to live? What if you were able to honor your gifts and passions, turn them into a heart-centered business, and make a big difference in the world, all while living authentically and doing the work you love? It is possible. Patricia Young, president and founder of InnerProsperityAcademy.com, knows that awakening to your own truth, aligning with your life purpose, and having your own business is one of the most exciting and courageous things you will ever do in your life. Patricia helps spiritual, sensitive, and growth-oriented women start, grow, or transition into a business they love so they can go from working for a paycheck to working for a mission. For supportive resources, programs, and more to help you do just that, visit InnerProsperityAcademy.com.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Healing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Healing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Hi, you're listening to Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy. Today, I am joined by my dear friend, Patricia Young of InnerProsperity.com, and we're talking about fear and life purpose and using fear as a superpower. And I asked Patricia right before the break to share some of the experiences she's witnessed in her own life or in the life of her clients of what happens when you have the courage to take the leap and align with your life purpose. So what are some of the results that you've seen when you have the courage to take a leap and align with your life purpose?
Yeah, so if you think of it from a holistic perspective, right? Your relationships can get better. Your personal life gets better. You have more joy. Your health is going to improve as well, because everything, if you think about it, everything is connected. And when you're out of alignment in one area, it will create a ripple effect in other areas of your life as well, right? So if you start making positive changes, you're going to see a positive ripple effect in your life. So that's one of the benefits. And another thing that's really important is that, and Linda mentioned something about this before, is that there's a special kind of joy and a deep level of fulfillment that, believe me, I don't think you would be able to feel this with anything else in your life. And here's a clue. If you cannot wait to end the day and you feel drained and you feel that you're dragging every day when you wake up every morning, that means that you're not aligned with your life purpose. Because despite of the challenges, right? Because we all can face challenges and issues. We all can have a bad day. But if you feel a constant of feeling a lack of energy and dissatisfaction, if you feel drained and unhappy every day, you really need to listen to the feedback that your soul is giving you and take action.
Yeah.
And another benefit that I would say it's a beautiful one, I think, is that really taking ownership of your own life and giving yourself permission to explore is the best act of self-love that you can do for yourself. And I know that in my case, my journey to fulfillment started really with unapologetic self-love and really listening to my inner guidance and having a blind faith in who I was designed to be.
I've witnessed that with you. Now that you said that, I've witnessed you just keep stepping in, saying, I want to stay aligned with my soul. And it manifests for you. Living your mission for you is the work you're doing in the world. And just to be able to hold space and see you stepping into that inspires and encourages me, as well as those in your inner circle, to do the same. And that's why I think it's so important. I want to touch base on this, too. It's so important to surround yourself with coaches and mentors like Patricia to hold you accountable to your dreams, right? Because you haven't reached your dreams to this point because you are, like all of us, we get stuck. We need someone. I still have people in my life and that I can reach out to on a daily basis and go, hey, I'm really feeling stretched right now. Launching this radio show, Patricia, it was like, whoa, here we go, being stretched again. But when we surround ourselves with like-minded women or friends or peers or coaches and mentors who will allow us to process the fear but hold us accountable to our dreams because they see our worth, has been one of the most powerful gifts I've given myself. And I know you have given yourself that, too, because you've worked with a coach or mentor, and now you're doing the same for others. So do you recommend that with your clients? Make sure you surround yourself with positivity, love. I call it being in the vortex, as one of my mentors calls.
Yeah, absolutely. I highly recommend that anybody that's, any of the listeners that are really considering taking or at least taking a baby step, surround yourself with people that are going to hold you accountable, that are going to support you, that love you unconditionally, that they understand that what you're doing is because it's coming from your soul, is not coming from a place of your ego, that you want to do something, these kind of decisions really come at a soul level. So you really need to surround yourself with people that are going to get it and that are going to be supporting you through the process, guiding you through the process, and mainly holding you accountable as well. Because like Linda was saying, as you start to stretch and expand, fear is going to kick in again, and you need someone that's going to be holding you accountable, that you're taking baby steps. Consistent baby steps will really take you far.
Oh, it's so true, and I like what you said. It's someone holding you accountable, because one of my mentors says, new level, new devil, right? And what that means is we're never meant to be stagnant. We're always meant for growth and change. So knowing that means every time we step into that next level, whether it's business, relationship, love, it doesn't matter what area of our life it's in, the next level of old stories and fears are going to be released to challenge us, right? And so it's not something that you're ever there, right? And like, oh, I'm done. Fear is handled. I'll never have fear again. Oh, no, honey, it's going to keep coming back because you are here to keep growing and transforming. And having these tools and tips that you've shared in this in this conversation today, Patricia, is really important because I think some people look at fear and think exactly what you said at the beginning. Oh, that fear wouldn't come up. So I'm so glad that you clarified that no, it's just the opposite. It means you are on the right path and stretching and trying to get out of that box you've built around yourself. And that was another great, and there's something else you said. I want to note it down. I hope I captured it right because I was trying to write as fast as you were talking. But it was, fear is a doorway to something richer in your life. And I was like, right, because I could immediately visualize this gorgeous door with shining light around it, and fear is stopping us from opening the door, but really all this bright light and everything we want is on the other side of it, but we have to walk through the doorway.
Yeah, exactly. And just be courageous, knowing that fear is going to be there always. But it's not a reason to stop, like I said. And this is so important. The more you invest time and energy in connecting with your fear, the bigger the fear gets, right? So being courageous, just to very short, because I know this is so important. Courage, for me, it's really a spiritual journey. Courage is all about letting it inform you. So you come into the right relationship with uncertainty and discomfort, right? And really wake up to who you really are.
That's beautiful. And I want to repeat that quote from Patricia because I think it's really important, because I want you to visualize this doorway that we're talking about, and it's fear is a doorway to something richer in your life. And I want you to close your eyes for a moment and envision a closed door, but around the whole cracks of the door is gorgeous blue and white light, and you know something amazing is on the other side. You just know it at your soul level. But you get that feeling pity your stomach, like, but I know what's on this side of the door, and I want to stay here. And I just want you to envision and believe in yourself enough to open the door and walk through, because your mission-driven life is waiting for you on the other side. Your dream-filled life is waiting there. So, Patricia, I want to thank you for leaving our listeners with that wisdom and for being here, along with as well as all the amazing work you're doing in the world. And I want to invite our listeners to learn more about Patricia at InnerProsperityAcademy.com, learn about all her programs, and claim her free gift, 7 steps to go from working for a paycheck to working for a mission. And I want to thank everyone for joining me for Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy. Listen in every Tuesday at 2 p.m. for more sacred conversations with visionary women just like Patricia, who are here to share their feminine wisdom to support you in living your best life. For even more inspiration, claim your free subscription to Aspire magazine, which includes over 40 transformational gifts. And you can do so at subscribe2aspire.com. Until next time, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.